And one and all to what happened on this day. And if you're wondering where I've disappeared to, it's because we managed to record this but didn't actually record a picture. I'm not blaming anybody, honestly. I hope you're all keeping well, fine and dandy, and as ever, let's get right to it because there's a lot to get through in, well, really, what happened on this day. Now, this was one of the events, I don't know about you, but one of the big historical events that I first learned about from school in history, you know. It was a big sort of thing that they presented to us as part of our, you know, historical background, if you like. And it truly is, because way back in 1666, the Great Fire of London ended on this day, leaving, catch this, 13,200 houses destroyed. And allegedly, according to this information, only 8 people died. I mean, a terrible situation. Can you imagine what that must have been like? And if you don't know the story, I won't spoil it about how it started. But it really, nothing's truly changed because these things continue to happen, don't they? Moving further forward, though, in 1887, theatre hadn't really got to grips with electricity yet, you know. It was coming in, but, you know, a lot of people thought it wasn't safe and they didn't want to spend the money. Nothing new in the world of theatre, really, is it? So at the Theatre Royal in Exeter, they had a gas lamp and that caught fire on this day in 1887, and it sadly killed 200 people. You see, it's just not safe to go, is it, to the theatre? Now, one of my old favourite shows way back in 1958, no, I wasn't there, but I do remember this TV show being repeated for many years when I was growing up. Do you remember the Huckleberry Hound show by Hanna-Barbera, which featured, of course, the brilliant Yogi Bear? I loved Yogi Bear. He was a bit of a sort of scoundrel, wasn't he? But all dressed up in a brilliant way. Great innocent fun, you know. And that started way back in 1958, but still shown around the world today. Still so popular with so many children. Are you a big kid like me? Do you still watch them? I know, I can see you do. Now, on a more serious note, way back on this day in 1975, 47 years ago, it was the first assassination attempt on the US President Gerald Ford. This was attempted by Lynette, quote, Squeaky Fromay from Sacramento in California. Now, Gerald Ford, I don't know about you, I don't think he's not necessarily remembered as much as some of the bigger ones, or perhaps it's a generic thing. You know, let me know if you remember his tenure, because I vaguely sort of remember it. I was very young at the time, so I don't really remember him much, but maybe, as I say, generationally, people do remember politicians because I think it's what you first start to see them, isn't it? You know, maybe your mum and dad have them on the radio, or you start to watch them on the TV. Also on this day in 1976, can't believe this, one of my all-time favourite shows ever. If you, like me, and you just loved Jim Henson's Muppet Show, well, it premiered on television on this day. And the very first big guest star was none other than the Peyton Place actress Mia Farrow. Of course, former squeeze of Frank Sinatra. Of course, the show went on to be a phenomenal success. And I'll let you into a bit of a secret. The old studios up at Elstree, where EastEnders, the soap opera, is filmed, behind the bar is actually the box where the 2 old men used to sit in and harass people on the show. It's still there, yeah, they haven't taken it down. Fascinating to see. On this day, we lost a brilliant entertainer, a British institution loved around the world, none more so, of course, over here in London in the United Kingdom, and then latterly over in Australia. We're talking about the multi-talented Max Bygraves, who'd become a huge star, all thanks to his sing-along albums and his catchphrases like, I want to tell you a story. Max started out way back in the late 40s in Variety, broke through in a spectacular way, all thanks to the medium of television and radio, and of course recording singles. But his very big break came when Judy Garland came over to the London Palladium. On her very first visit, he was asked to be her opening act, couldn't quite believe it. She thought it was brilliant, invited him back over to open for her in New York, and he became the toast of New York for a while also. As I say, many people will recall Max with a lot of fondness, fun, and more importantly, he gave years and years of spectacular entertainment. And it's sad to say, on this day in 2012, he sadly left us. But the magic of Max simply lives on throughout all of his films, records, and of course recorded performances on the digital platforms. If you get an opportunity and you've never noticed Max Bygraves before, do give him a look. You're up to date with everything that happened on this day in history. Now as ever, will I see you tomorrow? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.